Welcome to the Global Reference Newsroom, and we're going to talk about California's on fire, big fire, big fire. I'm here in Los Angeles. Fortunately, we're within the city, so we're like in South LA, close by SoFi Stadium. So there's really no fires here, but you can still smell the smoke. The air quality has gotten better. However, as for the surrounding parts of the city, it has not been good. And I want to start in talking about this whole ordeal and why California's leadership, particularly Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, have failed on the job. And so that has become a huge highlight. Let's take a look at how Los Angeles is looking, or at least the outer skirts of it. That's not a good sign. I'm not laughing at the.
Now we have nothing.
That was our chimney where Santa comes and now it's gone.
Everything that we built here to just be gone.
Everyone
Shout out
has
to
lost
Fox, by the way.
everything here.
I have to start all over again. I can't.
We have fires up Hastings Ranch, multiple structures involved.
Happy the family.
That's crazy. They've been talking about how a lot of the housing insurance has been dropped from some of the people who've been hit by this fire.
The most important thing.
A nightmare that no one can wake up from. That's what they're saying in LA. At least 11 people are dead and even more missing. A chunk of land the size of San Francisco has been destroyed. Some of the most beautiful land in the world. Parts of Pacific Palisades look like Hiroshima after the atomic bomb. Entire communities decimated.
No disrespect, but this kind of looks like how Black Wall Street looked after it got burned down. Now, I'm not, this is the thing. I don't think people really had sympathy for Black Wall Street and Rosewood when they got burned down. When we went through our ordeal, I just saying.
In Altadena, about a dozen homes are left in a neighborhood of 5,000 people. 3 major fires are still uncontained as crews are bracing for another weekend of the powerful Santa Ana winds. On the streets, it's turning into the wild, wild west. Looters on scooters ransacking homes. Thieves are dashing through rubble and ash with flat screens. Some of them disguised as fire officials and utility workers.
I don't know black people to want to jump through some fire to go get some free stuff. I mean, I understand if it's not a fire, but I just can't see black people being involved in that.
The looting is so out of hand that some residents are scared to leave their burned out homes. The governor, Newsom, says looting will not be tolerated. These communities have suffered enough. Well, unless they loot less than $950, then Gavin doesn't mind. One of the Winklevoss twins called out Newsom saying this, quote, "You and your party have been tolerating looting for years. You normalize this behavior and lawlessness. You are a disgrace. Resign now." It's a free-for-all in LA. Every man
Sure
for
is.
themselves, literally. Yesterday,
Well, it's always
local
been like
residents
that.
had to take down a vagrant with a blowtorch. They witnessed him setting fire
Is
to
he
old
black?
Christmas trees and garbage cans.
Told you we ain't
Neighbors
involved
called
in that.
911, and before the police arrived, they detained them with zip ties and a rope. A good old-fashioned citizen's arrest. Here's LAPD.
What we know right now is that the incident occurred, started here, and about 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, a suspect was detained over in Woodland Hills area by citizens.
So someone purposely set the Kenneth fire.
At this time, that's what we believe, yes.
Do you know how or why they did that?
That I don't know.
Is this a crime scene right now?
Yes.
So everything's closed off.
It's being investigated as a crime.
Police brought him down to the station and a few hours later released him back onto the streets.
Wow.
They said there was no probable cause to charge him with arson, even though there was a half a dozen witnesses who saw him setting things on fire and the guy to blowtorch on him when they arrested him. That's not probable cause. So what was he doing with the blowtorch? Lighting a blunt? If this wasn't a homeless guy, I'm not sure, because homeless accounted for over half of the fires in LA. Based on that statistic, there's a strong probability that a homeless guy burned the city down. But we're waiting for the investigation
I
to
don't think
play out.
not for this one.
Homes
I
have
don't think
been
a homeless
completely
person did this
toasted,
one.
and some people say it feels intentional. Here's Mel Gibson.
It's very sad. And there were many things,
We got
gone in
Mel
the blade.
later on, so we're gonna pause that right there because we got Mel coming up later on. Let's see if we can skip past Mel. Hold on.
He goes, it's just going to be the right wind, and fire's going to start in the right place, and
This
it's going
Joe
to
Rogan
burn through
predicted
LA
everything.
all the way to the ocean, and there's not a thing we can do about it. I go, really? He goes, yeah, we just get lucky. He goes, we get lucky with the wind. He goes, but if the wind hits the wrong way, it's just going to burn straight through LA, and there's not going to be a thing we can do about it.
So how well was California prepared? Last week, the reservoir in Pacific Palisades was completely empty.
Wow.
There was no water. It could have been filled with 117 million gallons of water. Instead, it was dry and closed for repairs. They closed the Pacific Palisades Reservoir during the season when the Santa Ana winds blow the hardest. And now the whole town's barbecued. And LA's water czar knew it. She basically watched them drain it. That's according to the Daily Mail. Janice Quiones gets paid $750,000 a year. Wonder how she got that job.
Wow.
Gavin Newsom also cut the fire budget by $100 million last year, and then vetoed a bill that would have given fire department more seasonal workers when they were short-staffed, like now. LA Mayor Karen Bass cut her fire department's budget too. LA couldn't even get a simple evacuation alert right. Last night, the whole county panicked.
Right, I got that.
We're just
one,
mapping
too.
out here are under mandatory evacuations. And obviously you can hear all of our phones are going off some type of alert, an evacuation warning, it looks like.
Yeah, my alert reads,
Yeah.
This is an emergency message from the LA County Fire Department. An evacuation warning has been issued in your area.
Yeah.
Remain
This is what this looks like.
vigilant of any threats and be ready to evacuate. Gather.
Yeah, I was talking to a neighbor of mine, and he said he takes care of his wife, and so she's she's invalid, and so he was like, man, I got the alert, and what do I do? Do I gotta pack her stuff up and all this other stuff because I want to make sure we get her out in case this is this is the thing. And so yeah, a lot of people got this again like at 3 o'clock in the morning. Wait a minute, people got the false alert. I think that was around maybe 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock. I can't remember, but we got another one like around 7 and 1 in the middle of the night. So I don't know what was going on though.
Other loved ones, pets, and supplies. Continue to monitor local weather news and the webpage alertla.org for more information.
Yeah, so these alerts come, based on where you are.
It's like on my phone.
Yeah, and here we are in West LA, and we're getting an alert. We'll have to look into why.
Guess what? False alarm. No need to evacuate. The city said, sorry, it was an accident. They're going to give people heart attacks. People are leaping into their EVs and speeding out of town. Oops.
Right.
Never mind. Nothing. I mean, nothing
Good old
has
Democrat
gone
leadership,
right.
baby.
The fire chief of LA, Kristen, says the mayors failed her.
Did the city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city?
It's my job to stand up as a chief and exactly say justifiably what the fire department needs to operate to meet the demands of the community.
Now they all turning on each other. So this is the new fire chief, and she's from the rainbow community. So I guess they hired her because they wanted to do fairness and equity and stuff like that. And I'm not saying she's at fault, but they were all buddy in the beginning. Now they're all turning on each other, pointing fingers and all this other stuff.
Community.
Did they fail you?
That is our job. And I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs.
Did they fail you?
Yes.
Over the last 3 years, been clear that the fire department needs help. We can no longer sustain where we are.
But for some reason, and I think we know why, the mayor and the governor are still getting a pass for most of the legacy press. Listen to a governor who's grappled with his share of disasters.
If Newsom was a Republican, you guys would you would have him nailed to the wall for what they're doing over there. When we had the Surfside Tower collapse, I had people from the Washington Post trying to blame me for it immediately without having any facts. That mayor of LA, if that were a Republican mayor, I could only imagine what that would do.
Facts.
I mean, the fires are at high risk and you try to go to Africa?
But Gavin Newsom says none of this is my fault. The
DeSantis
real
is
battle
hilarious.
we need
It's
to wage
facts, though.
here
She was in Africa
is
the whole
against the
time. We're
people blaming
gonna
me.
show you.
We've got to deal with this misinformation. There are hurricane force winds of mis and disinformation, lies. People want to divide this country, and we're going to have to address that as well. And it breaks my heart as people are suffering and struggling that we're up against those hurricane forces as well. And that's just a point of personal privilege that I share that with you because it infects real people that are out there, people I meet every single day, people the mayor's been meeting with, and they're having conversations that are not the typical conversations you'd have at this time. And you wonder where this stuff comes from. And it's very damaging as well.
This is what Democrats do. They screw up and then call their critics liars. But this time, that's hard to do when your whole city is still on fire.
Right.
Nobody wants to hear politicians whine about misinformation during a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
People have lost their homes and everything in it, their most cherished belongings, their great-grandfather's watch, their mother's wedding ring, priceless family heirlooms.
Mm-hmm.
Some have no insurance. The home is all they had.
Right.
And they turn on TV and the governor's complaining about his approval rating and what someone wrote in the comment section.
That's your Democrats.
This fire has unleashed a fury in Hollywood. Actors and actresses who would never dare attack a Democrat because it could cost them their jobs are lacing into Gavin.
Mm-hmm.
Here's actress Sarah Foster, quote, "We pay the highest taxes in California. Our fire hydrants were empty.
Facts.
Our vegetation was overgrown. Brush not cleared. Our reservoirs were emptied by our governor because tribal leaders wanted to save fish. Our fire department budget was cut by our mayor.
It's called a smelt
But thank
fish.
God drug addicts are getting their drug kits. LA Mayor and Gavin Newsom resign. Your far-left policies have..."
I think this is probably the end of a Democratic California, though. I mean, a Democrat-led California, to be honest with you, because I could just see it. I could see it, you know, the fact that people voted in Trump, the country voted in Trump, was a testament to how this nation is finished with Democrats. And I think it's going to be a good long time. I got to take that back. You still got a lot of people in California sideways. They need tragedy in order for them to get their heads right, to understand that this Democratic leadership just ain't working. The nation as a whole understands that, but California is like the last bastion for all Democrat agendas, leadership, ideals, etc. So I think California may need a massive, God forbid, a massive earthquake for them to say, you know what? We're not prepared, and our Democratic leadership focuses more on rainbow agendas, giving more rights to criminals, and protecting their people and providing for their people, whether it just be in everyday life or an event of emergency.
Ruined our state and also our party. Even Morning Joe can't defend this. And they've defended everything. And I mean everything.
You can't.
We don't know the exact causes for the complete failure of government to be able to protect these homes. I don't think we can say it's a smelt alone. We don't know what it is, but I do think it's going to be like Hurricane Katrina. I mean, the infrastructure has been slashed. It's hard to hear people say in one of the richest cities in the world that, we don't have enough water to protect
Ain't that crazy?
Homes.
We're witnessing the collapse
Now,
of
a lot of
liberal
people are saying, you're right next to the Pacific. How come you just don't use the Pacific Ocean water? Well, that's salt water. And so there could be great repercussions to using salt water against that fire. I would say that. But however, there should have been a plan in place in order to, desalinate or make sure some of that water is, workable for situations like this.
Society. Everything's on fire, falling apart at the same time because of stupidity, corruption, and radical priorities. Reservoirs are bone dry, but California Democrats are spending millions on DEI, migrants, and drug addicts. Now, Primetime tried to save California. Remember the last couple of years? We finally threw up our hands and said, we can't save it if they don't want to be saved. After 30,000 acres have been torched and the fire's still not contained, in the capital of Sacramento, they just called an emergency session to battle Trump.
Is now the right time to have a special legislative session on allocating money to fight Trump in a way that you could already do without a special legislative session?
Who gives a damn about Trump right now?
I'm here to address these wildfires. This is a historic wildfire. This is a historic event. These wildfires, as I mentioned, are going to be
what does Trump have to do with anything?
Wildfires and disasters in state.
While people are trying to understand what's going on and are worried about disaster relief, worried about the ability to get homeowners insurance, your chamber gavelled into a special legislative session to prepare for Donald Trump. Again, it is now the right time.
So she's criticizing him for them focusing on Trump when you got people out there that's whole entire lives are gone. They want to see, this is what I'm talking about with this Democrat leadership. That's why they all have to go.
For that.
So certainly our focus right now is Speaker, Ashley. At this moment, my colleagues and I, we are acting with great urgency to ensure that we're providing much needed relief.
Liberal society's gone mad. People have been institutionalized for less. California has been trying for years to destroy Western civilization. Well, this is what it looks like. They finally did it. Primetime's calling for a federal takeover of California. When a state becomes this dangerous and the government becomes this reckless, where the lives of millions of American citizens are being destroyed, their homes obliterated, their infrastructure annihilated, we can't wait for a recall election. This is an issue of national security. This is a public health emergency.
Out like last night.
We know they have public health emergency powers. Remember the pandemic? Invoke them. The elected officials in California can't be trusted. They're criminally negligent.
Well, we know that. We always know that. That's nothing new. That's nothing new. We always knew they were incompetent. Let's go on to some other clips, though. I think this is the one I want to talk about. This is you're gonna trip out on this one. You really gonna trip out on this one.
Listen to this woman confront Governor Newsom.
Wait a minute. So this lady is gonna put Gavin Newsom's feet to the fire, and I think this one went viral.
Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
Right.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the call.
Why is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
Right.
Did you hear at the beginning of that soundbite?
I love it.
He said, I'm literally talking to the president right now.
It.
He lied.
He just told that woman. That woman is talking about that's her kid's school. They've lost everything at the school. The school is gone. And she is in distress. And what does he do? He lies to her.
Just flat lies.
How many people has he lied to this week?
He lies all the time.
They've been lying the whole time they've been in office.
And when you look at, Brian is so right about all of these progressive states and cities. You even go all the way to New Orleans and see what the mayor did. You don't know the different assets that you have to protect the sidewalk. That's what's happening in California. And the Republicans have to take this moment as an opportunity to show effectiveness.
Right.
I think Ron DeSantis, the governor of Virginia, should go to California.
Governor Beshear of Kentucky.
And show them how it's done.
Right.
Bring your resources there. We heard the president of the United States talking about generators. Why didn't y'all have generators already staged if you need them? The military planes, okay? Brian brought up an interesting point yesterday about them flying through the smoke. They're just now getting the military planes there. Why didn't y'all have those pre-staged? And then Ainsley, we can't leave out that the mayor wasn't there.
Well, exactly. And all these celebrities are now speaking out. That lady, that frustrated lady was on with Jesse last night. And Jason Bateman's sister, what's her first name? Justine Bateman was on. And she was so frustrated too. And this is James Wood. Because remember, President Biden said he blamed this on climate change. James Wood says this fire is not from climate change,
Right,
you
not.
ignorant blank hole. It's
Right.
because
Asshole.
liberal idiots like you elect liberal idiots like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass.
Wow.
One doesn't understand the first thing
Love
about
it.
fire management, and the other can't fill the
This
water
whole program fire.
reservoirs.
Across the board, there's been a failure to figure out, to pre-plan, to pre-position. Karen Bass, the mayor out there, she declared a state of emergency, and then she flew to Ghana. And it's like, okay, there's going to be something.
17 hours.
There's going to be something that's going to change the arc of this city forever.
just
And
wanna
where she's at a
and-
ceremonial inauguration, from start to finish.
I kind of want to pause this and go to Karen Bass's. Let me see. I want to come back to that. Hold on, that's not the one I need. Hold on, no, that's not the one. Is it this one? Yes. So this is Karen Bass when she's being probed about the response.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
Who's Karen Bass's? Who's Karen Bass's handler? You know who it is? You don't? So whoever gave Karen Bass the coaching to say when they ask you these questions, don't say anything, needs to be fired. No pun intended.
No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home? Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
Ma'am, hold on 1 second.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
She hasn't dealt with the catastrophe. Wow. That's crazy. I think this one deals with, what's his name? What is his name? Mel Gibson.
Joining us now, actor and Academy Award-winning director Mel Gibson, an old friend, a Malibu resident who tragically just lost his home to the Palisades fire.
I gotta be honest, I really don't sympathize for anybody in Hollywood losing anything, to be honest with you. I'm just regular, everyday working people. Yeah, but people in Hollywood, I just don't sympathize for them like that.
Mel, I was thinking about you when I saw this fire break out. I think I talked to Raymond. I said, is Mel okay? Is his family okay? I instantly thought of you. He said he thought you were okay. And I'm glad you got out. I'm glad your family is safe. But tell us what it was like to be on Rogan's podcast when I guess you learned that your home had been lost.
I didn't learn it was lost. I knew the neighborhood was on fire, then I was in the path. So I was a little tense while I talked to Joe, but he's a guy that can put you at your ease fairly well. So I was doing okay. And I knew that my family was safe and out of harm's way.
Were you able to get possessions? Of course, they're really immaterial when you have your family, but I've been to your house. It was an incredible home, beautiful home. But were you able to get anything out of your house?
Not much. A few necessary things. You know, my son I said, just go and grab this and this and this. And he grabbed like 3 things and took off. And then, you know, those are okay. Stuff like passports and a couple of papers and stuff like that. But by and large, everything was just, it looked, when I got there the other day, I went up there yesterday, it looked like Dresden. you know, after Bomber Harris got through with it. Yeah.
But like Black Wall Street,
Nothing
after
left.
y'all got done.
For those of us watching this from afar, try to convey to us the feeling of seeing your home, your neighbors' homes, and the community there at such a loss.
I mean, it's tragic. It makes you really sad. I was actually, you know, there are neighbors I have that I was actually looking at them. I felt worse for them than I did for myself. You know, I look at it as a strange mixture of sadness and almost kind of an elation in a sense that I count my blessings, you know, no matter what. These are things, and they may or may not be replaceable, but they're only things, and we're still here, and I just kind of look at it as almost in a weird kind of way a purification of, but of course it's very sad, and there were many things, you know, gone in the blaze that you know, I've thought about since. I thought, oh damn, you know, that's too bad, but you know, works of art, photographs, rare books, you know, old books, some as old as, you know, 1600, you know, it's like crazy.
Irreplaceable.
And irreplaceable stuff, yeah. So it is what it is, I guess. It was only a month ago that the flames threatened us, you know, 200 meters away on the other side. And of course the wind shifted and it came in and whipped and got us from the other direction, so it was an interesting...
You've heard, yeah. You've heard the...
Go on.
You know, both... You know, you've heard a lot of people say a lot of things about these fires. Obviously, the winds were horrific, but they were predicted. I know you know that last weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they said this could be tragic with these winds if any fire starts.
Sure.
Do you believe in what you know so
wind is
far,
up the Santa Ana.
anything could have happened like this?
California historically has always had fires. However, this is... I've never seen anything like this before. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was driving, and I seen a big old blast of light, like how it would be if it was, you know, lightning. It wasn't like a lightning bolt, but it looked like a big old boom of light. And like an hour later, or like 30 minutes later, they said a new fire had broken out. So I don't think these are, you know, regular, you know, dry or whatever. I think somebody's behind it though, because all these fires popping up like bam, 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 bam. It's not like one fire spread and created another. No, these was coming up in very different places simultaneously within hours.
Yeah, well, one always suspects that this might happen, but one thinks that the resources, you know, and the capabilities of the men and women will be on standby, that they'll be able to cope with any situation that comes up. But apparently some people were asleep on the job, mainly our leaders there. But, you know.
You mean Democrat leadership?
That's something they have to live with. And but that's something the community has to live with, and it's really sad. I mean, I have many friends that are, you know, looking for a place to put a roof over their heads, and kids, and, you know, they're traumatized. So, someone should answer for it, but we'll see. I think we know who the culprits are.
Who are they,
in fact, my son he's a member of the volunteer fire brigade. He sort of interfaces between LA County Fire and people, and they assist them where they can before and after the blaze. And apparently the residents in Corral Canyon caught an arsonist up there, and the guy was all tooled up with fire gear and equipment and stuff like that and ready to go, and he had been lighting fires, but they corralled the guy in Corral Canyon and gave him to the police. So
yeah, apparently
looking for these conditions.
Yeah, apparently, Mel, that individual was never charged. It's a very confusing set of facts because apparently he was reportedly trying to light things on fire, but it's not the fires, I guess, that they... I mean, it all seems very bizarre, but they have not ruled out that arson could have started the first fire. There's obviously still investigating this, and at the same time, Mel, there are numerous complaints, as you alluded to, that the fire hydrants did not have water or water pressure, and the LA fire chief herself reacted. Watch this.
My stance on this is when a firefighter comes up to a
letting reserves go for one reason or another. They've been doing that a while. California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things.
Well, Mel, you and Hollywood have helped facilitate this.
Sort of look, is it on purpose? Which it's an insane thing to think.
No, stop speculating.
But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be? You know,
speculative bull. We all know what this is about. Point blank. Period. You know, this is the Democrats dropped the ball. Governor, the mayor, all of them. Democrat leadership at its finest. California still on fire, even as we speak, even as this video is being made. How far is it from being contained? There's been some progress, but it's still out of control. That's our video for today. Like, share, and subscribe.